Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you after a thrilling Dallas Cowboys win on Sunday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Definitely not a win that I expected. I will say that, considering the circumstances of today, Cowboys, of course, getting eliminated from playoff contention with those freaking Eagles losing inexplicably to the Washington Commanders despite being up multiple scores. You got to be kidding me. Just when you couldn't hate the Eagles anymore, am I right? Just when you could not hate the Eagles anymore, they go ahead and do what they did today against the Commanders. Jalen Hurts or not, the defense at the end of that game was pitiful. Hope the Eagles flame out beautifully in the first round, much like what I've been saying the entire season. We'll see how Jalen Hurts is. Obviously, never wish harm on any player. Definitely wish him the best. I want to see every team, whether I hate them or not, be at full strength when they get embarrassed. So we're hoping Jalen Hurts gets back and then promptly first round exit coming soon after that, hopefully. But back to the Cowboys. We are just one crazy, embarrassing play against the Bengals on Monday Night Football away from being on a 5-game win streak and potentially having a shot to make the playoffs. I mean, look, Awarrior, the touching of the punt, block, whatever you want to put, whatever name you want to put on that entire fiasco on Monday Night Football against the Bengals. Cowboys are one Awarrior touch away from being on a 5-game win streak in the thick of the playoff hunt. I mean, look, the win today by the Commanders would have made it tough, but I will say, considering the end result of the game today, the Cowboys just love finding new ways to make these end of games very interesting. I mean, look, that final play where Bland is able to strip the ball away and recover the fumble there. I can't even believe what I saw, what I witnessed. Right before then, I was literally screaming at everybody on the Cowboys rush attack. That was Baker Mayfield in clutch, in glass. I can't even talk. I'm so flabbergasted by the terrible hats to the football and tackling that went place on that final play. Like Baker Mayfield in the grasp, nobody going to help out. I mean, I don't know. That was a pretty terrible effort tackling Baker Mayfield there. It ends up working out, though, with DaRon Bland making an incredible play. It's hard to make sense of the Cowboys' inability just to have a smooth ending to a football game. You just knew that they weren't going to end the game nicely there on offense. You knew the offense wasn't going to be able to pull that one out. You knew the Bucs were getting the ball back. And from there, it's always a fun time watching the Cowboys close it out on defense. We will see what ends up shaking out the rest of the season. And obviously, for all intents and purposes, the Cowboys are done, and they're looking forward to 2025. You're trying to get some guys some opportunities to show what they have as you start to make roster decisions. And look, I know that there is definitely a strong contingency of Cowboys fans that don't like the win tonight. They want to see a better draft pick. I don't know. If you're a true fan, can you really be rooting for a loss, for an L? I can't, especially the next 2 weeks. I can't be rooting for the Eagles, for the Commanders to beat the Cowboys. Are you even a fan if you're doing that? I mean, at this point, the Cowboys have won 7 games. You're not going to be getting a great draft pick anyways. You might as well root for them to win the next 2 ball games and maybe finish 9-8, which, by the way, was my prediction at the beginning of the season. That was with Dak healthy. We'll see. Maybe my prediction still ends up coming true. 9-8 was my guess when things started out at the onset of the year. 10-7 was my absolute ceiling for this Cowboys team. I think there was a time where we all discussed whether or not the Cowboys were going to win more than 3 or 4 games. I think what you've seen from them is a resilient finish. That's the only way I can describe tonight, a resilient finish for the Cowboys. Nobody, I don't think, expected the Cowboys to win this game tonight. You saw a lot of people picking the Bucs, taking the -4 or whatever the line was. And the Cowboys, of course, getting eliminated from the playoffs today. I don't think anybody thought that they were going to come out with the effort that they had tonight. I will say to you, though, this. I did say to multiple family members, got a lot of family in town right now for the holidays. Like, everybody thinks the Cowboys are going to roll over. A lot of people taking the Bucs -4. The Cowboys are going to come out and have a good game today. Like, that's just how this goes. When everybody's jumping on Bucs -4, and I've said this before other weeks, like when Carolina was favored over the Cowboys for the first time in like 2 seasons, they were a favorite. You knew the Cowboys were coming out and dominating that Carolina Panthers game. Kind of felt similar tonight. Cowboys get eliminated. Everybody starts hopping on Bucs -4, and Cowboys come out, and it gets a little interesting at the end, but by and large, play a really, really sound game. Cooper Rush nearly throws for 300 yards. It got a little dicey at the end. I know some of y'all follow me while I live post, live tweet, live whatever you want to call it during the game. Like coming out passing with Cooper Rush in that, second to last offensive possession, not the last offensive possession for the Cowboys, but the second to last first down, you're throwing the ball. And that was right after the Jourdan Lewis insane interception. You're throwing the ball after the Lewis interception. I know that Dowdle did not have a good game on the ground today. I know that the rushing attack for the Cowboys was abysmal, but that was a total head scratcher. Why are you passing the ball? Jourdan Lewis makes an incredible interception. At that point, you are running it the entire rest of the game, just trying to kill clock with the Bucs only having 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. I did not get that call at all. Cooper Rush, I thought, had a great game up until that point. Like, wasn't like looking like Patrick Mahomes out there, but look, almost threw for 300 yards, had a couple of nice touchdowns. I got to say, I would have just been beside myself had Cooper Rush thrown that interception. And I don't think you could really blame anybody but the Cowboys coaches. I mean, it's a bad play by Cooper Rush, no doubt. But why are you even passing in that moment? I know we're getting all over the place here. It's tough right after the game, regardless of whether or not the Cowboys are making the playoffs or not. The emotions are running high. I'm a die-hard. Doesn't matter what game it is. We want to see the Cowboys win here at Right on Rangers. And so we're coming with a live rapid reaction here right after the game, hoping to get all of y'all's comments and questions. It's a good day to be a Cowboys fan. And this is what I call an amazing football weekend. You got the Texas Longhorns cleaning up yesterday, 38-24 over the Clemson Tigers. And then you got the Cowboys winning 26-24 tonight on Sunday Night Football. Just put a bow on the weekend. I'll take that. Back-to-back days with my football teams winning. That'll work. It's a good weekend. Falcons fans, show us some love right now. If I got any Falcons fans in the chat, show me some love right now. Show the Cowboys some love because we just helped y'all out in a major way. I mean, look, the Falcons, I know, beat the Cowboys earlier this year. I cannot imagine the Falcons beat us with Dak Prescott at the helm. Some of y'all are saying the Cowboys are better with Dak. I couldn't disagree more. I don't know how big the drop-off is, but I think we all can safely say Dak Prescott more dynamic than Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush had a nice game tonight, threw for a touchdown. And, of course, Zeke Elliott rushed for another touchdown, his only carry of the game. Almost threw for 300 yards, but Cooper Rush is not better than Dak. I mean, look, some people say that as a hot take just to throw it out there, throw crap against the wall, see what sticks, you know what I mean? But Cooper Rush is not better than Dak. Dak probably wins that Bengals game handedly. Dak beats the Falcons pretty handedly. Look, the Falcons barely beat the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. Now, not trying to hate on the Falcons, nothing personal against them, but look, kind of crazy that the Falcons now suddenly control their own destiny in the NFC South. The Bucs, I don't know what they're thinking right now. I'm glad to see Baker Mayfield lose as a Texas Longhorns fan through and through. We all know Baker Mayfield from Austin, butthurt that the Longhorns didn't offer him anything. So he's made it his personal vendetta to hate all things Texas Longhorns. And you know what? Loves going back to Texas and showing out. They were talking about all the success Baker Mayfield has had in Texas in his career. Whatever. Eat that Baker. Am I right, Cowboys Nation? Eat that Baker right now. I mean, look, Baker had a decent game, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. And I feel like since he got to the Bucs, I've actually been able to tolerate him a little bit better. It all goes out the window when he's playing my team. But I will say the Baker on the Bucs version, I can get along with a little bit better than with any other team. I don't know what it is. But Baker Mayfield never missed an opportunity to relish and enjoy him losing. I don't know how else to say it. I just got to be 100% right now. 100% real with y'all. Thank you for all the comments, by the way. All right, we're going to settle in here. I'm going to get to as many comments as I can, sift through some of the nonsense and make it to the good stuff here. Let me see what we got. Thank you for the follows, by the way. I see a few different people have followed as we've been going here. Appreciate all y'all. As a Falcons fan, thank you. Charlie, you're welcome. You are welcome. Cooper Rush now 9-4 as a starter. Anybody that's watched all of Cooper Rush's starts knows better. I mean, there's a lot more that goes into this than Cooper Rush. But look, numbers don't lie. 9-4, pretty solid. Now, Cooper Rush ain't getting any big contract this offseason, but he does win games, and he gives the Cowboys a chance to win games. There's never a dull moment. I mean, Cooper Rush almost gives the game away there in that second to last possession. No idea why they even had him throwing the ball to begin with, but there's never a dull moment with the Cooper Rush start. But 9-4 as a starter, you got to respect it. I'm sorry, but Rico Dowdle is not cutting it. KT, appreciate the comment. Look, I go back and forth with Dowdle. Here's what I've said. At no point have I said that Rico Dowdle needs to be a 3-down workhorse type back. At no point have I ever said that. In fact, I've said almost since the offseason, I want to say, I mean, I don't want to stretch, I don't want to exaggerate, but since the offseason, since the draft, I wanted Dowdle on the roster, draft a running back in the second, third round. I wasn't thinking first round draft pick for a running back, but I said, hey, second, third round, go get a running back that can go alongside Rico Dowdle. You can have kind of a Gibbs-Montgomery situation like they do in Detroit. I think Rico, as a guy that comes in for a couple of downs here and there, gives you a really, really good burst of speed. He runs hard, but then you've got another guy to spell him, maybe a guy that can work in the passing game. I really feel like the play next year, draft a running back, give Rico Dowdle a running mate, somebody that can take carries, that can take a little bit of the workload off of him, have him be a little bit fresher. I do think 17-game season, you're going to wear down a little bit at the end. This is the most Rico Dowdle has ever played in his career. I'm not shocked to see a little bit of a dud tonight from Rico. I mean, Rico, the numbers aren't pretty. 13 carries, 23 yards. I definitely think the Cowboys have to give him some help in the offseason. Love Rico. It's no disrespect, but I think you got to go out and get somebody to run alongside Rico Dowdle. Up to this point, 3 straight games, over 100 yards. Hard for me to hate on Rico too much. I mean, look, you have games like this. The Bucs defensive front is very solid. I think this goes back to long season. We just played game 15. Rico Dowdle has never carried the ball this much in his career. I'm not shocked to see him looking a little slow, a little tired in week 16. It was bound to happen. But next year, go get a running back, run alongside Dowdle, have that 1-2 punch, a la the Detroit Lions with Montgomery and Gibbs, and I think you're going to get really positive results there. We own the Bucs. Lil Uzi, appreciate the comment. It feels that way. I mean, look, the Cowboys obviously send Tom Brady into retirement in the playoffs a couple of years ago facing the Bucs. Another dub tonight on Sunday Night Football over Baker Mayfield and company. It does feel like when the Bucs come to town, or when we go play the Bucs in general, it's going to be a good result. Thank you, Cooper Rush. Falcons are back on top. You're welcome. You're welcome. As a hater, it's fun watching the Cowboys win when it hurts their draft position. Look, if you want to hate on the Cowboys, getting a win tonight and their draft position falling, I would submit, do you know how the Cowboys have drafted over the past couple of seasons? Do you have a clue at how bad the Cowboys have been drafting? And this has been my point. Like, why is anybody cheering for the Cowboys to lose? We all know that the likelihood of them nailing the first round draft pick is about a 50-50 shot. Look, there might be somebody so obvious staring them in the face in the first round that they just can't mess it up. But I really don't trust the Cowboys to do that. After Mozzie Smith and then Guyton back-to-back first-round draft picks, I'm not sitting here expecting the Cowboys to nail their first-round draft pick. And I think any other Cowboys fan should feel exactly the same. What confidence? What is leading you to believe that the Cowboys are going to hit a home run in the first round? So even if they got the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th pick in the draft, I don't feel confident that they're going to nail it. I don't feel confident that they're going to get the guy that blossoms into an all-pro in their first or second season. I mean, look, I know those are weighty expectations, but you understand what I'm saying. Micah Parsons obviously was a home run. That was a big hit. And CeeDee Lamb, kind of an obvious choice, I feel like, staring you in the face. Those are the first-round draft picks that you definitely can point to. Hey, the Cowboys actually have a clue. But I've said all along the past several weeks, I would rather the Cowboys win and not look completely pathetic like the dog crap of the NFL, like 2-11 or 2-13, whatever the Giants are right now. I'd rather the Cowboys not be at that level. I'd rather the Cowboys be continuing to compete, being respectable out there on the field, and I'll take a middle round first-round draft pick. I'll take a middle of the round first-round pick, and I'll trade that for beating the Commanders and beating the Eagles the last 2 weeks of the season. Beat those two teams on their way to the playoffs. Maybe play spoiler for the Commanders. I know that the win today, did the win today for the Commanders seal it? So, look, I know that there's some seeding things going on, but maybe the win today for the Commanders ended up sealing things. Not 100% sure. I don't pretend to keep up with every team in the NFL. Looks like the Commanders have not yet clinched. They're 10-5 right now. Doesn't look like they have clinched quite yet. I think there are some scenarios where maybe they could be left out. If they win next week, I want to say they're in. But if they lose next week, that Cowboys game could potentially be for the Commanders to make it into the playoffs. As of right now, like I said, it does not appear like they have clinched anything according to the NFL standings. So we'll see what happens. I would love to play spoiler, and I will trade that any day. I'll trade that any day for drafting 12th over drafting 10th or drafting 13th instead of 16th. Who cares? I mean, I would rather beat the Eagles and Commanders in back-to-back weeks and finish like on a 7-win out of 8 stretch run. That would be wild. Win 7 of your last 8. My goodness, I don't think anybody predicted that when Dak Prescott goes down. Appreciate you. Hey, Baseball Network, thanks for tuning in. Cowboys got a win. Not needed. I agree. No real point to the win beyond pride, beyond getting a little bit of respect. And look, I got to give it to the coaching staff. Like Mike McCarthy, I know we haven't ever said on this show that Mike is the problem. I've said I don't know if he's the answer to winning a Super Bowl, but I don't think Mike McCarthy is the problem in Dallas. And you watch games like this, and I hope you can see what I mean. Like, it would be very easy for this locker room to fold like a deck, like a house of cards, and just totally roll over. Mike McCarthy has got these guys locked in, competing at a high level. They could have easily folded this one up, and they could have just rolled over and let the Bucs manhandle them. They didn't. They came out tonight with fire. They came out tonight with an edge, and they won the football game. And I think you've got to give Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff credit for that. Again, Mike McCarthy is not the problem in Dallas. I don't think he's the answer for winning a Super Bowl, but I don't think that he's the issue. I do still stand by. I think the Cowboys need a fresh voice, need a new voice in that locker room. I think sometimes you got to make tough decisions. And while I don't think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach, I don't think he's the guy to lead the Cowboys back to the promised land, whether it be next year or any subsequent year after that. So when I say Cowboys need a new coach, we're not saying it's Mike McCarthy's fault why the Cowboys are what they are right now. In fact, I think they'd be in a lot worse position with a different coach. I think a lot of other teams, a lot of other coaches, you might not have gotten this effort tonight on Sunday Night Football. So I think you got to give Mike McCarthy and the coaching staff some props for having the guys locked in, competing at a high level, despite the context, despite the circumstances. So I do think the Cowboys move on and get a new coach. And we've talked about different coaches that maybe the Cowboys will look to get. But I'll say this. I think that Mike McCarthy is a quality coach. He has his flaws. He has his moments. We all rag on him for the time management, some of the play calling, yada, yada. It can get to be a lot of yapping, right? But at the same time, Cowboys have bigger issues. I think the personnel, the roster build, all of that you point to first before you point to anything Mike McCarthy's done. Tristan, what's up, man? Tristan says, I can't believe we won. Yeah, I don't think that it was as big of a surprise to me. Again, you saw everybody fading the Cowboys this afternoon after the Cowboys were eliminated thanks to that Washington Commanders win. So everybody's fading the Cowboys, taking Bucs -4. You know, you're around Vegas long enough, you know that when stuff like that happens, you're bound to get an opposite result. Everybody taking the Bucs and nobody thinking the Cowboys are going to come to play. And sure enough, they come out looking great, looking like a team that could make the playoffs, but unfortunately has been knocked out. Maybe still finish with a winning record. That's what I'd like to see. That's what I'd like to see at this point. Let's see. Primetime. Cowboys ain't going nowhere or been nowhere since 1995. You know what? We can bring up 1995 as much as we want. Cowboys are still going to have more rings than probably over half the league, at least, maybe 2/3 of the league. I mean, look, I don't know. We can hate on the Cowboys not getting back there. There's a lot of teams that haven't been back there or ever won one. So, look, 1995, great year. Cowboys clearly need to find a way to get back to the NFC Championship and to the Super Bowl. It's been a while, but we don't need to go comparing Super Bowl wins. I don't think a lot of teams are going to be able to speak over the Cowboys in that regard. But thanks for stopping by. Let me keep going. Am I a Vikings believer? I'm keep waiting for the Vikings to implode and they just keep winning games. So I don't know if I'll say I'm a believer, but I will say they continue to impress me with just continuing to win ball games. That throw today from Darnold to Jefferson to win the game, my goodness. I don't know. If they go far in the playoffs, I don't know how you can turn it over to McCarthy. I feel like you've almost got to sign Darnold and see what you got and run it back again. Maybe they're going to make the tough decision to move on and just go to JJ. But if Darnold wins a playoff game for you, I don't know if you can go to McCarthy next year. Let's see what happens. Jerry is a bad owner, Chad. What's good, man? Look, the roster build, which is Jerry, it is Steven, it is the Jones family. The roster build to me is what you have to keep going back to. There wasn't a lot of depth to it. You had Dak, you had CeeDee, maybe you could say you had Rico Dowdle, and you had a bunch of mediocre after that on offense. Look, the defense, I think, was much better constructed. You had Tank Lawrence at the onset of the season. You had Parsons. I thought Eric Kendricks was a nice signing at linebacker. You, of course, had Deron Bland. You had Diggs. You had Wilson. You had Lewis. You had a lot of good pieces on defense, but you had to improve the offense. And again, Dak, CeeDee, Dowdle, and a box of rocks is not going to take you very far. And so I think when Dak goes down, CeeDee's been banged up a little bit. Rico Dowdle never had this big of a workload. This is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get at this point. So I do think you got to go back to Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and the roster build in the offseason. I think that Mike McCarthy, not perfect, but they could easily be like 4-12 right now, or 4-11, and just really embarrassing. Instead, they have a chance to be a winning team at the end of the season. That's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Let me keep going to TikTok here. I'm going to try and scroll through. Why don't NFL do draft lottery like NBA to control the tanking? I go back and forth on this because I really do feel like what you saw tonight is the reason why they don't do the lottery. Like, the Cowboys could have easily tanked. Think about the Raiders winning today too. Like, the Raiders, they had no business winning today. You were in firm control of the number one pick. The Raiders had no business winning today, but they did. And so I think what you see is there's NFL teams that are always going to compete regardless of the record. You get between those white lines. Football is a violent, physical sport. It's hard to just turn it off when you're between those white lines. So I do think the argument is the results that you saw today. The Cowboys could have tanked. They win a ball game. The Raiders could have tanked today. They go out and win a ball game. I don't know if the NFL really has a tanking problem, so I don't really know you need to go to lottery. I mean, now look, at the end of the year, I absolutely think in week 17, there are some strings being pulled to ensure defeat. Like, I don't think that it never happens, but I 100% think when you're in these kind of no man's land weeks, week 13, 14, 15, it's tough. I don't think a lot of teams are just going to quit and give up, regardless of the draft position. Let me keep going. Trying to get through as much as I can. Do I think that McCarthy gets an extension? No, I don't. I think fresh voice, some fresh blood in the mix, I think is going to do the Cowboys well. I don't think Mike McCarthy is the problem, but I don't think he's the answer either. I think we've seen what we're going to get with Mike McCarthy. Give Mike McCarthy a good roster, maybe even a great roster, and he's going to have a really good regular season. And he's also maybe going to win you a playoff game. But I just have not seen anything else to believe we're going to win a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy. I really would like to see the Cowboys move on. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all y'all. Thank you so much. I'd like to see Ben Johnson too. Appreciate that comment, Bob. I'd love to see Ben Johnson. But as we go back and forth about the coaching, I've said it so many times, so many of these coaches that are really, really well sought after, they want to control who's going to be my quarterback. Right? Ben Johnson, he wants to say in the quarterback. I'm sure Mike Vrabel, I'm sure Cliff Kingsbury, any of these names you throw out there, they want a say at the quarterback position. And so what you have to do with the new coach is you've got to find a guy that is going to hitch his wagon to Dak, or you've got to convince the Jones family to do what the Broncos ownership did for Sean Payton, which is, hey, we'll try out Dak for a season. We'll see if the fit works. And you know what? At the end of the year or at the middle of the season, we'll see how it's going, and we'll let you go a different direction if it's not working. Like, that's the kind of handshake deal you'd probably have to have with the Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Hey, we'll have Dak give it a shot. We'll try it. But if Dak's not working, I need to be able to go get my own quarterback. I think a lot of guys that are going to be very well sought after, the Ben Johnson types, the Cliff Kingsburys, they are not going to want to hitch their wagon to Dak for 3 more seasons. They're going to want maybe half a season to see what it's like, and then they're going to want to be able to jump ship and go get a quarterback that they actually want if it's not working. We keep going. Appreciate all y'all's comments. Thank you so much. Up by 9, Opez Packers, and I have Miller safe. Tough. Man, I am so disappointed in fantasy football this season. Like, I killed it in the regular season on both teams. I have 2 teams. Both of them are like leagues where I have like super good buddies from where I was growing up in Texas. It's a lot of fun. I had really great regular seasons, and then week 1 of the playoffs, both my teams just took a dump. I'm mad at fantasy football right now. I don't even know what to tell you. It's going to be close, though. Up by 9. Packers, Defense, I don't know. That's going to be close. I'm going to have to think on that one. Let me keep going. Woohoo, I'm a Falcons fan. Time is running extremely thin with Dak. Jay, appreciate the comment. Yeah, I will say, I think if they get a new coach, the new coach is probably going to have to deal with Dak for a season. I could easily see, though, if one season with Dak and it's not working, maybe they move on. They trade Dak. I don't know if you can cut Dak or anything like that. Like, I'm not sure. And off the top of my head, I can't remember how the contract is structured. Like, if it's less of a cap hit after year 2 or year 3, etc. with Dak. I think if the Cowboys get a new coach, he'll probably have to have Dak for a year. But if it's not working, I'm not going to be shocked if they find a way to move on from Dak and give that new coach the quarterback of their pick or of their choosing. And keep going. Dear God, no Kingsbury. Well, let's think about like who's better out there. Like, Cliff Kingsbury, like him or not, what he did with Jaden Daniels this year was impressive. What he did with Jaden Daniels this year, what Cliff Kingsbury did, is impressive to me. I know maybe you can give a little love and credit to Dan Quinn, but I give a lot of credit for Jaden Daniels' success to Cliff Kingsbury. And you remember what Cliff did with Kyler Murray. I know they kind of flamed out at the end there, but Kyler had some great years with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. I mean, he had a couple of really quality seasons where, look, the offense was as good as any. But I don't know. I'm not sure what Cliff Kingsbury is going to be wanting to do after this year. I think you could do a lot worse than Cliff. Probably my preference, if you can go get Ben Johnson, 100% you go get him. But is Ben Johnson going to want to come to a place where he doesn't get a lot of roster say? I don't know if a lot of coaches are going to want to do that. That's my only thing. Mike McCarthy, kind of a yes man for Jerry Jones and company, which is what the Jones family likes. Somebody that's not going to overly meddle or try to meddle with the roster moves. Big reason the Cowboys probably didn't go after Harbaugh. I mean, keep going. Dak is not the guy. I have my doubts about that too. I like Dak. I like him as a person and as a leader. I don't think, much like McCarthy, I don't know if Dak is the problem, but I don't think Dak is the answer. It's the same thing. I feel almost the exact same way about Dak that I do about McCarthy. Like, I think there are worse things you can point to why the Cowboys aren't winning Super Bowls, but I don't know if I would necessarily put all the blame on Dak or on Mike McCarthy. I just don't know if they are what is going to put the Cowboys over the top. Let me keep going here. Rico is a good back. Just need another one. 100%. Like, I would love to see the Cowboys go draft a running back. And then you got a 1-2 punch. You got Dowdle. You got a rookie. You've got those two guys to offset each other, take some of the workload, take some of the carries off of the other. I think that would be the best plan this offseason. I would love to see that happen. Let me see here. Thoughts on the Nate Lowe trade? By the way, I know some of y'all see the background. I cover the Texas Rangers a lot during the regular season. Every Wednesday, I do an off-season show talking about the Texas Rangers. Real quick on the Nate Lowe trade, and I'll definitely come back to it as well. Probably later on in the show after we get through everything Cowboys, but I'm hoping that the Rangers have an alternative plan at first base. I don't know if they are going to go out and get anybody. It kind of sounds like what I was gathering from all of the sources that I have and that I read. I think Berger is the plan at first base. I think Berger's the plan right now. I did not think that was going to be a reality. Now, from what I hear, Santander, Jock Peterson, still potential, I think, in the mix for the Rangers. But I don't know if I love Berger playing first for 150 plus games. And look, I'm sorry, Ezekiel Duran, just because he played there for a few games here and there in 2024 does not make me feel good about our first base depth. Like, I did kind of laugh with the Rangers columnists, like, listing out the depth that we have at first base. Like, Ezekiel Duran's played first base, and, we could maybe play Josh Smith at first base. I mean, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing? Like, go get a first baseman. Go get a first baseman if you're going to be throwing Zeke Duran out there at first base. Like, come on now. Anyways, I'm going to get more into the Texas trade. I'll definitely be live on Wednesday. Wednesday night, I believe. I know it's Christmas, but in the evening, after everything settles, I'll probably do a live. I don't know if I'll push it to Thursday or not. I'll definitely send something out and let y'all know for sure on Wednesday night. But my plan is, Christmas settles down a little bit. I'll hop on and probably do a pod on the 25th in the later evening, probably right around like 9 o'clock Texas time, something like that. Everybody will maybe be just chilling out, Christmas, comatose, you know what I mean, ready to relax, listen to a little Right on Rangers podcast, Texas Rangers offseason edition. I'm going to talk more about the low trade a little later on in the show, though. I want to start putting a bow on the Cowboys game. I appreciate, by the way, all y'all hanging out right now. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Appreciate the comments, too. Keep the show fresh and the follows as well. Dang. Thank you. Thank you. Let me keep going here. Let me see if I missed anything. You lost out on Ashton Genty. Yeah, I never really felt like that was something with a lot of traction. I know that it got a lot of hype on social media. Genty, for me, great back. Would love to have him. I think somebody was going to gobble him up before we got to him anyways. Maybe we trade up and we still get him. The Cowboys need to go get a running back. I think you can probably go get a running back in maybe the second round and go get a little bit more value with your first round pick elsewhere. I'm not opposed to drafting a first round running back, but it's not my most favorite thing to do. Zeke Elliott was great, but you see a lot of the times the first round running backs, they can be absolutely on point, but you see some flame out quickly. I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be drafting a running back in the first round. I hope they at least draft one in the first 3 rounds. I don't know. For me, again, Cowboys winning games right now, I'll take it. I'd rather watch a Cowboys win than watch them lose, get a high draft pick, and then mess it up, inevitably. That's kind of the lack of confidence that I have right now in the Cowboys front office. Let me keep going. Appreciate all y'all, by the way. Let me go to some talking points that I have now that we've got a little bit of a break in the comments here. Oh, Texas Repo, if you're still hanging out, what's good? I've seen Cowboys fans not pleased with McCarthy. I don't blame them. We got D'Amico Ryans, Bobby Slowick. Texans can beat Buffalo. Man, Tank Dell, crazy injury there. Wishing a speedy recovery for him. Look, I can't say that I'm the biggest Houston fan in general, any sport, Astros, Texans, Rockets, you name it. I'm not a big Houston sports fan. For me, the Texans always used to be pretty tolerable, but then the Astros, the rivalry with the Rangers, I got to admit, my love for Houston teams has decreased, but I do think D'Amico Ryans, great head coach. I'd rather have D'Amico Ryans than Mike McCarthy. I would. I don't know if a lot of Cowboys fans are going to disagree with that. Me keep going here. Me see what I got. Anything else here? I'm going to go to the box score. I think we got to talk about Cooper Rush almost throwing for 300 yards. CeeDee Lamb, 7 receptions, 105 yards. Had that long 52, a nice 52-yard reception. On the defensive side of things, Jourdan Bland, 8 total tackles, and probably the game-saving play right there at the end with the fumble force and then the recovery to win the game for the Cowboys. Jordan Lewis, 6 tackles, crazy interception. I thought that was going to be the game-sealing play. Donovan Wilson was flying around all over the field. That hit that Donovan Wilson put on Mike Evans, there are some hits that make you jump out of your seat. That Donovan Wilson hit on Mike Evans earlier in the game, that was one of them for me where you just go, ooh, that was one of those hits. If you didn't see it, go back and watch that hit Donovan Wilson puts on Mike Evans. My goodness, that was nasty. Incredible play. Donovan Wilson, great safety for us. Had a great game today. Added a sack as well. had a pass breakup, pass deflection, hit the quarterback hit. He was flying all over the field today. But I got to recognize those three: DaRon Bland, Jourdan Lewis, Donovan Wilson, all had a really, really solid game today. Micah Parsons added a sack as well. Joseph had a sack. Look, Baker Mayfield, he definitely wasn't super comfortable in that pocket tonight. You got to give the defense credit. They hung in there. They withstood the drives late when the offense really started slowing down. Cowboys only scored 3 points in the second half. Like, just not what you want to see, right? Not what you want to see. The defense, though, finds a way to hold on, and they made a couple of really huge plays. Of course, the Jourdan Lewis pick on the goal line, and then also the Donovan Wilson strip and fumble recovery to win the game. Gotta love it. Those are my players of the game collectively. And look, on to Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia next week. Jalen Hurts' status kind of up in the air a little bit. We'll see what happens. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be intimidated at all going up to Philadelphia. Why would you be? You got absolutely nothing to lose. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be bothered at all going up to Philly. I am curious what the line is on this game. I'm going to see if I can figure it out while I'm live right now with y'all. But I really feel like the Cowboys have a decent shot to win this ball game. You know that the emotions are going to be running high. You know that the Cowboys are not going to want to get embarrassed by the Eagles, regardless of the standings, regardless of the fact that the Cowboys are already out of it. So I see the Cowboys going up and being very competitive against the Eagles. I do not think that they are going to roll over. You have Jalen Hurts injured. I think that that's going to make a big difference in what the spread is, obviously. Right now, it looks like it's opened up. It opened up at 11.5. So it opened at 11.5. It's down to 8 right now. So Cowboys +8 is the spread. I would imagine if you see Jalen Hurts out for that game, it probably goes down even more towards the Cowboys. 11.5, though, was the open. Right now, the line currently sits at 8. I would probably take the Cowboys +8 right now, just because of the value in, if Hurts goes down, you know that that line is going to sink below 7. So if you like the Cowboys, definitely take them right now while you can on principle. If Jalen Hurts is injured, that number is probably going to sink down to 4.5 or 5, I would guess. I don't think Kenny Pickett is the answer or is him. I would definitely feel pretty confident about the Cowboys' ability to have a quality game and cover an 8-point spread with Kenny Pickett starting. Not saying the Cowboys are going to win outright. The NFC East battles are crazy. Y'all know this. Anything can happen in these NFC East games. You never feel completely comfortable unless you're playing the Giants, that is. Am I right? I mean, somebody had to say it. Like, if you're playing the Giants, I don't think you're sweating it out too much. But look, Eagles, Commanders, I think anything can happen in these types of games. But if you like the Cowboys, +8 is probably the best you're going to get all week. If Jalen Hurts gets announced, maybe you see the line pop up to like 9.5. But if he goes out, that line is going below 7, which at that point I'm not too comfortable with. I'll take the Cowboys at +8. You know, even if the Eagles are winning by 14, here's how I think about it. Cowboys score a garbage touchdown late, and now you suddenly have a one-possession game, and you cash your ticket. So I'm taking Cowboys with the points. +11.5 right now would be way too high, I feel. Cowboys are playing good football. They've won, 5 out of their last 6? I don't think you can deny the Cowboys are playing good football right now. The Eagles have had their moments. This is a team, the Eagles, that almost lost to the Panthers. Like, maybe should have lost to the Panthers. I do not think the Cowboys are a team to be taken lightly right now. I do not think that the Eagles are an insurmountable foe for the Cowboys at this point. You get the Cowboys back and healthy, which is, I think, kind of more of what you're seeing. Obviously, Diggs is out. Dak is out. You still have some big names out. But the Cowboys are playing well as a unit right now. Should have beat the Bengals. They should be on a crazy winning streak right now. It's sad that they're not. Sad that this game isn't even bigger because this could be Cowboys playoff spot on the line, right? Potentially, depending on what would have happened with other results. So I am definitely excited for this one. Really hope the Cowboys can play spoiler, knock the Eagles down to 12-4. It's not going to matter. The Eagles are in the playoffs. But look, I would like to see them continue to lose ball games on their way in. Same thing for the Commanders. You've got, let's see, ahead of the Eagles, the Lions, the Vikings, and I believe that's it. Then the Commanders and the Packers are behind the Eagles in the NFC standings. So the Eagles right now are in position to host a playoff game. If they were to lose the next two games, I don't even think it would matter. They would still probably host a playoff game regardless. But I'll take any Eagles loss that I can. I was cheering for the Eagles today. It was a very weird feeling. I don't know if any of y'all had this too. I felt yucky, felt dirty cheering for the Eagles today. But you had to do it if you're a Cowboys fan. You wanted to see the Cowboys at least have a shot. It was a 0.2% chance. The Commanders needed to lose out. I think the Rams needed to lose a bunch too. It wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be. But look, now that we've had some time to come down a little bit from that game, happy that the Eagles lost. Don't want to see the Eagles win a lot of ball games. I can at least feel a little bit better about a Commanders win because it's Dan Quinn. There's a lot of former Cowboys on that team. I'll definitely take a Commanders win over an Eagles win any day. Today, little different. Wanted the Commanders to lose out, so the Cowboys might have a crazy outside shot at making it in the playoffs. Wasn't meant to be. Focus starts turning towards 2025, but I think at this point, if you're a Cowboys fan, you relish these NFC East showdowns to finish out the year. Hopefully, we get two Cowboys wins back-to-back. Eagles this coming week, Commanders to finish out the season. That'd be awesome. Let me keep going with comments. Appreciate the follows. Thank you for all the comments, questions. By the way, thank you so much. I'm going to assume Jalen will suit up next week. I do too. I don't know, though. Like, I was trying to figure it out on the fly, but I was just thinking, what's the benefit of him playing? Like, so even if they lose, they're still ahead of the pack. And did they play? Did the Packers and the Eagles play each other? Did the Eagles win that game? Because, let me see here. The Eagles beat the Packers in week 1, right? So the Eagles have the tiebreak over the Packers. And the other 10-4 team, the Commanders, are 10-5. And the Commanders, that's an interesting one. I don't know what the tiebreak would be there, but the Commanders would have to win both games. And it looks like the Commanders and Eagles split. So it would get to like a funky tiebreaker. But what I'm trying to say is that the Eagles are in a pretty firm position right now. It's not going to shock me if they don't put Jalen Hurts back in there. But if he's ready to go back in, like I'm seeing, apparently, let me see this comment here. Apparently, Jalen was ready to go back in, but the NFL doctor didn't let him. Yeah, look, if Jalen Hurts is healthy, I'm sure he's going to play. My only angle was if you're kind of already locked into that 3 spot in the NFC, which I think that they are, I don't know if there's a chance for the Eagles to get the number 1 seed. I would have to do a lot of math on the fly here. I don't know if my brain's going to be able to handle it live in front of y'all, but let's see here. We've got the Lions at 13-2, the Vikings at 13-2. The Eagles are 12-3. So technically, I guess they could still get the number 1 seed. So with that being said, I think that Jalen Hurts is probably going to play. You've got a chance to win the first seed, the number 1 seed overall. I got to think the Eagles are probably going to go for it. So I would be shocked if Jalen Hurts didn't play, seeing that they actually have a chance. What are my thoughts on the Rangers trade today? I think we can talk Rangers now. We've covered, I think, enough Cowboys to end the show. I'll talk a little Rangers. So I do think the Nate Lowe trade is definitely just like looking at it without a whole lot of thought. It doesn't feel like an awesome trade. You trade away a great clubhouse guy. You trade away a Gold Glover, a World Series champion, a Silver Slugger Award winner, and you get back a lefty reliever. Like, I don't think a lot of people are going to be super pumped about this trade. I will say this. I don't think that CY, Fenstermaker, Figueroa, I don't think those dudes are doing a whole lot of trades without thinking one or two steps ahead. So I trust CY. I think that this move was to free up money. Nate Lowe was going to be $11 million next year. You did have some first base depth. I definitely am not going to go too glass half full on this one. I don't love who the Rangers have right now at first base. I don't love Berger, 150 plus games at first base. Spot starter, just fine. But I don't know if I love Berger's my everyday first baseman. And oh yeah, I've got Ezekiel Duran to spell him every once in a while. Like, I don't love that. I don't think that that's a great plan. Could the Rangers be maybe in play for Pete Alonso? I tend to think no. I don't know why you would go get Pete when you could have had Nate for about half the price, and Nate Lowe is controllable for 2 more years. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me now that I think about it, that the Rangers would go get Pete Alonso when they could have just stuck with Nate Lowe. So I kind of think that the Rangers are either going to go get Jock Peterson, maybe, and this has been my like pipe dream for really the entire offseason. Maybe the Rangers go get Anthony Santander. Those of y'all that have been watching me for a while, I've been saying Santander forever. I would love if the Rangers went and made a splash and got Anthony Santander. This is a 40 home run guy, a guy that has hit for power consistently, lefty power bat. I'd be good with Jock Peterson. I would love Anthony Santander. Or maybe you use this money from Nate Lowe to go get a closer. Maybe a Tanner Scott. We talked about Tanner Scott earlier today when I hopped on right when the Nate Lowe news broke. I hopped on for about 15 minutes. We talked about Tanner Scott. We talked about some bullpen pieces. Maybe this frees up the money for Kirby Yates. I've been on the record saying I would like to see the Rangers move on from David Robertson, Kirby Yates. I feel like you caught lightning in a bottle. I don't know if you want to invest double-digit millions into either one of those dudes, but we'll see. I think it sets up, this whole trade sets up either spending money on a closer or going out and spending money on a bat. So we'll see which route they take, but I personally believe this move was not in a vacuum, right? The Rangers did not make this move without thinking a couple steps ahead. So I think we're going to get some news relatively soon, barring some huge wrinkle in the pursuit process of Jock Peterson or of Anthony Santander or one of the relief pitchers on the market. I feel like the Rangers have something in the works. That would be my takeaway. I don't think you just trade Nate Lowe and then you've got nothing doing after that. I find that really hard to believe. So I think that this is going to work out positively, some way, shape, or form. I'm going to choose to believe that. I'm going to speak that into existence. From the, just the optics, I don't think the trade is great if you're just superficially at a quick glance looking at the trade. I don't think it feels awesome. I definitely will say this, though. I think the Rangers did definitely get a really solid relief pitcher back. Nate Lowe definitely is going to be missed, but I will say this. The relief pitcher that they got back in return, Robert Garcia, he had a great and outstanding second half of the year. Had a really rough, I think, April, maybe a little bit into May. After that, his last 30 games of the year, he was like a sub-3 ERA, lefty. I think he is going to be very, very useful for the Rangers in the bullpen. So I don't think that it's like a totally terrible trade. Anybody saying terrible trade, I just can't go there with you. But I will say, I definitely hope that the Rangers are not done on offense. If you can go get a Jock Peterson or a Santander, I think it makes everything better with the Nate Lowe trade. If you're not able to get any other offensive help, I do feel like the Nate Lowe trade feels a little bit more like a loss than a win, even if Robert Garcia goes on to have a really, really good year for the Rangers. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all of y'all tuning in. Thank you so much. Let's see. Could I see Alonso in a Rangers jersey? I would like to kind of in my mind say, yeah, they're probably going to be inquiring if he's going to be able to, going to be able to take XYZ amount of dollars and wear a Rangers uni. I just don't know. Why would you go get Alonso for 20, 25 million when you could have had Nate Lowe for 10? I just feel like that doesn't seem smart to me. So I don't think the Rangers are going to be in on Pete Alonso. I think it's Jock Peterson. I think it's possibly Anthony Santander. Santander would be incredible. Incredible. Let me keep going. I'm definitely not so happy. Jaden says, in my opinion, for sure, lost on this trade. I think time's going to tell. If the Rangers can go get another bat, I think it's all good. If you can't go get another bat, I'm going to be with Jaden and say this one might be a loss. Captain DC, what's good? Broncos fan here. Congrats on the win. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. It's good to get a couple and like be kind of respectable. I feel like there was a point when the Cowboys were like, 3-8, when we were kind of becoming the laughing stock. Cowboys have won like 5 of their last 6. They should be on a 6-game winning streak right now, or a 5-game winning streak, or whatever it is. Cowboys, you could argue, have been one of the hottest teams in the NFL over the last 5 or 6 weeks. It doesn't feel real to say that, but it's true. So, look, I'll take the win, and I hope the Cowboys win 2 more. I don't care about the draft. The Cowboys are not a sure shot to get the draft pick right anyways. Give me 2 wins over the Eagles and the Commanders. That's all I'm saying right now. I can't cheer for a Cowboys loss. And my solace is, at least we got a higher draft pick. I just can't go there. I cannot go there. My friend has Brandon Aubrey in fantasy. Aubrey was killing it, dude. I mean, he is automatic. What he did he hit 2 58-yarders today? Like 4 field goals total, 2 58-yarders, I think. Brandon Aubrey is a menace out there, like a problem. What a weapon. Like, I just feel like from 65, I feel confident Aubrey's going to hit it. That's the kind of confidence I think most people have in Brandon Aubrey right now. So, yeah, if you have Aubrey, you had a great day today in fantasy football. 100%. 100%. Let me keep going. Cowboys secondary were cooking. Indeed. Lewis, what an interception. Wilson, that hit on Mike Evans, outstanding. And then you had Jourdan Bland with the game-saving play. Look, I don't know if the Bucs were going to drive down and win the ball game there, but I didn't want to find out, and I'm glad Jourdan Bland did not let us find out. Great play, and great plays in general. Great night from the Cowboys secondary. Absolutely. Keep going. Yeah, Cowboys got kicked by the Commanders. Unfortunately, let's see if maybe the Cowboys keep the Commanders out of the playoffs. So the Commanders, as we look at their schedule, they play us last game of the season, correct? So who do they have next week? Commanders next week play the Falcons on Sunday Night Football? Okay. So if the Commanders lose that game against the Falcons, and the Falcons are going to be playing to win, the Cowboys game the last week, week 18, could potentially be an elimination game for the Commanders, which I would love to see. I'm all here for it. Like, Dan Quinn, I love you, but I would love to send y'all home. So I would be very interested in a Falcons win this coming week. And then the Cowboys have an opportunity to eliminate the Commanders from the playoffs. That would be a dream, an absolute dream. Jaden Daniels is absolutely a problem. Desktop Doctor, if you're still hanging out, appreciate the comment. Jaden Daniels is a problem, no doubt. But look, I would love to eliminate Jaden Daniels and Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury and all the former Cowboys players. I would love to eliminate them in week 18. I think if they lose to the Falcons, we get that opportunity. I think if the Commanders beat the Falcons, I think they're in. I don't think that there's any other way around it there. So Falcons win, and then Cowboys get a chance to knock them out. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Let me keep going here. Broncos need one win. Bengals or Chiefs. Yeah, there are some really intriguing matchups around the league. Always are the last couple of weeks of the season. And y'all know I love the game of football, college, NFL. Y'all see the team I'm repping on my shirt right now, but I love football. So I'll be watching a lot of those games, the Cowboys game included, but we'll see what shakes out. It is going to be interesting. A lot of teams have already punched their ticket, but there definitely are some teams hanging in the balance right now. We shall see how the last 2 weeks of the season unfold. But right now, I think the Bengals still have an outside shot at making the playoffs. Maybe the Colts do as well. The Commanders still have not clinched. The Packers technically haven't clinched a playoff spot yet. The Bucs and the Falcons, the Rams and the Seahawks, there's a lot of playoff spots up for grabs still. It's going to be a fun 2 weeks of the year into the playoffs. I will miss my Cowboys being in it, but we will absolutely still enjoy some NFL football and some postseason football regardless. We'll probably still go live every week going over the Cowboys off season. We'll start covering some of the different reports coming out around the Cowboys. You know that there's going to be some shakeups at the end of the year. So even though the Cowboys aren't in the playoffs, we'll still do a weekly Cowboy show like we always do. And we'll go through every offseason move, rumors, hot stove stuff. We'll still talk Dallas Cowboys every week. Maybe we'll do it on Sundays just to keep it consistent. That's kind of my plan at this point. So we got Rangers on Wednesday, Cowboys on Sunday, Longhorns on Saturday. That's kind of the plan right now. Hopefully the Longhorns can keep on rolling in the college football playoff. I know that we at least are going to get another week and a half, right? Longhorns play again on New Year's Day. Hopefully they can keep extending that season out and make me feel a little better at the fact that the Cowboys are not going to be playing into January and February this year. Now, I want to check comments one more time, questions, and then we will be heading out for the evening, and we'll plan to see y'all again on Wednesday. College team is Tennessee. What's yours? University of Texas. As I like to say, the real UT. Nothing but love, by the way. Nothing but love. But when it's Texas Longhorns Day, I think I've got the hat around here. I like to wear this hat right here. And some people get it twisted, right? Some people, oh, it's a Tennessee hat. No, it's not. Y'all see the flag. You know there's only one UT, and that's the University of Texas. But look, nothing but love for Tennessee fans. Tough game for y'all last night. I was really hoping Tennessee would win, advance. I was cheering for them. Nothing against Ohio State. I'm not an Ohio State fan by any means. Don't hate Ohio State either, but that was a tough one. I was impressed with the Tennessee faithful showing out for that game, though. A lot of orange interspersed throughout that stadium. I think some people were making a bigger deal out of it than others, but I was impressed with how well the Tennessee faithful traveled. I will say that. I will say that for sure. Washington fan, just want to say that was an awesome game. Brad, appreciate that. Thanks for the comment. Yeah, it was a great game for us. The Washington Commanders in a couple of weeks will be playing the Cowboys. Brad, come back and hang out. We'll see what happens. I think Commanders would be wise to win next week and get into the playoffs. I don't think that you want to lose to the Falcons and then have the Cowboys game be an elimination win or go home game. So if you're a Commanders fan, I don't think you want to risk something crazy happening against the Cowboys. You want to win this week on Sunday Night Football. I know that that's how I'd be feeling right now. The last thing I would want, regardless of your team, I would not want my season coming down to the divisional rivalry matchup at the end of the year. I mean, look, it's happened so much for the Cowboys and the Eagles throughout the last 2 decades, right? That last game of the season. is super meaningful, almost a de facto playoff game. But I'm just being selfish here. I mean, I don't care what anybody else wants to see. I don't want to see my team's playoff hopes come down to the last game against a division rival if I can take care of business the week before against the Atlanta Falcons. So I definitely think the Washington Commanders are going to come out firing on Sunday Night Football next week, trying to beat the Falcons. Fortunately for us Cowboys fans, the Falcons have something to play for. They are now in the driver's seat in the NFC South. So I think that's actually going to be a great game. I'm actually really looking forward to watching that one. Selfishly, I hope the Commanders lose, so that way the stakes can be even higher for the Cowboys game. If the Commanders clinch a playoff spot against the Falcons, that Cowboys game don't have quite as much juice. I would love to see that Cowboys game be extremely juicy with the Commanders' loss against the Falcons. So that way that Cowboys game becomes a win or go home game for Washington. Cowboys are out. They are out, Ramon, absolutely. We've talked about that over and over. On to 2025. Maybe next year's our year. Isn't that the running joke for all Cowboys fans? Next year's our year, for sure. Absolutely. Look, if I'm being realistic, I think the Cowboys can make it back to the playoffs next year, but I'm not sitting here saying Super Bowl. I got to see what the coaching staff looks like. Are they going to go with the new coach? I got to see what the draft looks like. I'm definitely not going to sit here and say, definitely our year for the Super Bowl next year. Like maybe you'll hear from some Cowboys fans. Appreciate the follow, by the way. Thank you so much. It really means a lot. And I'm not just saying that, y'all. You guys are what keep this whole account, channel, show going. The great comments, the questions, the interactions. I love it. It's why I started this. So I know I say it a lot, but very grateful for y'all. Thank you for everybody that liked, that followed. And if you're not followed, you're not subscribed to the channel yet, and you're watching right now, would greatly appreciate you hit that follow or subscribe button. Hey, if you're watching on TikTok, hit the share button. Share this with somebody. Even if they don't catch much of it, hey, tell them, send them a message. Hey, this guy's awesome. We talk Cowboys. It's a good time. Let's keep growing this good group of people we got talking NFL, talking Dallas Cowboys football. I love it. Well, I won't see y'all before Christmas. I think I might go live on Christmas Day night, the 25th. But if I don't see you before then, I know this is a busy time. We're all hanging out with our family and friends. Hope all of y'all have a very Merry Christmas and enjoy that time with loved ones. Watch some good football. I know there's going to be some games on. I'm definitely going to be enjoying all of the action, but of course, enjoying that quality time with friends and family. So hope y'all do the same. Thank you again for watching tonight. And as I say to end every show, God bless. Go Cowboys.